to Old Mill High School, right? Am I saying it right? Okay.
High School.
In Millsville?
Millersville.
Millersville, Maryland. Is that like small town, rural town? Like what was it like growing up in Millersville, Maryland?
It was fun. It wasn't small at all. It was pretty big. I got into a lot of sports, did a lot of things, skateboarded, BMX, wiffle ball. I mean, I tried to do it all as a kid. Met a lot of people. Moved a little bit when I was younger, so just kind of enjoyed life as best as I could as a kid.
How'd you get started in baseball? Like, did you have a family member that pushed you toward that or anything like that?
Yeah, my dad actually, from straight, I think I was 3 years old when I started playing baseball, and from there it was just, I fell in love with the game. He actually umpires, so growing up, I kind of obviously learned to respect the umpires a lot, but then also I did it, so it was a thing where you saw the game of baseball in a different view, and you obviously had to learn the rules, and you appreciated the game a lot more, but you also appreciated that there's more than what we do. There's a lot of involvement in the umpire crew that really makes the game as well.
Did he umpire your games?
So we would do scrimmages. He would. I think that's why I fell in love with pitching, because he would always be so tight on me. So whenever he would umpire me, it was just like I had to be perfect, right?
Your zone was like.
It was the smallest of them all, but it was cool. It was that was obviously then it was like, man, I gotta really be perfect. But like now looking back, it's like it really helped me just kind of be in the zone and work my fastball. I mean, that was like my biggest pitch. I couldn't throw a curveball or anything like that. So fastball was like the only pitch I really could throw. Once I got into high school, he couldn't umpire me no more. But that was the journey in high school where I was on the same field as him umpiring. So it was like really cool.
Would you umpire too? Like is that what you said?
It would be more little league. So it'd be like 10U-ish, like in that like younger age. So he would. I did probably like 8-year-olds. I would do the behind the plate.
How were you as an umpire?
I thought I was pretty good. I'd have to ask everybody else, but I felt like I was pretty good with it.
That is fantastic because, like you said too, it like teaches you the rules. Like So, what are your thoughts on the whole automatic strike zone thing, like robot umpires kind of thing? No.
I dislike it. Right. I think there's an element of baseball when you have the human error of that. Right. Like, sure, we got the review. That's nice. Like, you make the plays happen fast out there, and you make a different call, and can't really see it in slow motion, so it's nice to have that. But when you get to like the whole ball strike, I'm not a big fan. Maybe if anything, maybe the challenge where you challenge one pitch, sure, that might be questionable. But like getting into where it's just an automatic strike zone, I think it takes away from the baseball element of like the human error. You know what I mean?
In high school, I read, 2 no-hitters. You threw 2 no-hitters. Wait. And had a 409 batting average. Like, you were a hitter, man. Like, we did not know this.
I was a hitter. I was a hitter until I wasn't. Once guys started throwing harder and throwing curveballs, I was out. I couldn't handle it.
Well, you're about to leave high school, right? You get drafted by the Orioles, who you probably grew up watching, right?
Yeah, so I liked Washington teams too, but obviously like being close to Baltimore, we were able to go watch a lot of games. And I remember growing up, we used to do the Little League walk around the park, so that was like my favorite memory of Camden Yards. And then, obviously just being there, growing up, watching a lot of, obviously we got to see Cal Ripken and a lot of other guys go through that organization. And then we had our high school senior all-star game at the Camden Yards after they played a Sunday night game or a Sunday morning game, whatever. And we had a conference before that game, and I was headed there. And as I'm driving there, I get the call that I'm getting drafted by them, right? So, like, looking back on it, it's like, man, this is really cool. Like, I'm going to Camden Yards. Like, just get the call that, I'm getting drafted by the Orioles, and, then I get to go play the next day there.
Yeah, that's like full circle. Your fastball in high school, right, was slower, right? Like it was like 8. How did you develop, I guess, the deception and the speed that you have on your pitches now?
So I had the deception. That was like kind of one of my biggest things. Like, always threw funky. I always tried to mix it up. I would always throw my fastball at different slots because I would only throw my fastball. I never really had any other pitches, so I really had to like use different angles to try and create deception. And um, once I got through to the Orioles organization, Rick Peterson helped me change a little bit of my mechanics to have more in sync with my lower half and upper half. And honestly, from there, I honestly put on weight and everything just started to flow a little bit better. And started at like 90s and then just slowly built up just through putting more weight on. I mean, like I said, I was only like 125, 30 pounds out of high school, so it was like trying to put on weight, get everything, just get stronger, and eventually just kind of learned how my body moved.
So 2017, you make your debut, right? 2018, you're not the closer, but you do get some saves, but you're in the bullpen, but you're the first non-full-time closer to get the National League Reliever of the Year award, and you make an All-Star game. I mean, what was that year like? I mean, I feel like that would be like a life-changing year.
I think it was unique in a way that I was used, right? Like I was a starter coming into the big leagues, and then once I got up to the big leagues, I became a reliever, and I was more of like a long reliever where I would finish the starter's inning like in the fifth or whatever if he couldn't get out of it, and then go 6-7, and then that slowly moved just through different injuries that would happen, and I would also sometimes throw 3 innings to finish a game, and just like a lot of different things like that. So it was really cool. Obviously, that was my first All-Star game. It was in D.C., which was near home, so I had a lot of friends and family come out there. And I never really played this game for awards or anything like that, but to be named reliever of the year was a really cool, unique, just because like not many middle relievers get recognized, and I still don't think they do now. I think it's a job that's really hard, and it takes a lot of toll on pitchers. Just because you're in different situations. You could be in the fifth, you could be in the fourth sometimes. So it's like just seeing it through that perspective, and then being able to just kind of move through my career and just be in different roles.
Do you feel like the closer role is like the fit for you, or did you hope to be a starter? Like, because you seem like a closer, right? Whatever that means, right? But is that kind of what you think?
I think over time, I really enjoyed the role of a closer. I love, the game's on the line. Like, you can't make any mistakes. You got to be the best you can be every single time you're out there. I really love that part of the game and the mindset that you have to bring in every single day, because you never know what the game is going to bring, right? Like, you could be down 4 runs, and then in the 8th inning you could be back in it, and you could be winning up by 2 runs, and so like the switch is never off as a closer, I feel like, and it's just something that I've just learned to really, really love.
You're laid back, it seems like you're laid back. Is that how you feel? Do you have to have that? Like,
I just like to I guess you could say I like to ride the wave, right? I just go with whatever's thrown at me and not get too up, don't get too down, right? Like, I think if you play this game long enough, you know that if you have an even keel kind of mentality, you can put yourself in good positions. Like, you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, but if you think about it through like a journey and the process of it, that you're gonna, if you stick to what you do best and you stick to your routine and you do everything the right way, that at the end of the day you're gonna have more good than bad. But it also depends on how you handle the bad when it goes bad. Okay,
I want to talk about roles. We had a great conversation last year because you have had a lot of different roles. And you're a believer, right? And like, if you know your role, you can probably execute better when your time is called, right? It obviously doesn't always work that way out there. But can you just talk a little bit about like what your experience, like in terms of having a role and knowing the expectations on you and how that helps you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think in any player, right, when they know what they got to do and when they're going to be called upon, I mean, you have that routine to where you can be ready for whatever inning, whatever at bat. Like, you can be prepared in that situation. Now, if you don't get called in that situation, sure, like, it's okay. But if you know that you're only going to be in that situation, it's easier, especially for a reliever. It's the mentality of this game. We got to be ready every single day, and we don't get to dictate when we go in because of the game decides that, right? So, if you have the 9th inning, you know that in a safe situation that you read the game and you're preparing. For me, I start at the 6th and I go all the way through, and I prepare myself to be ready. Now, if I'm not called, then I still had my routine. I'm still prepared, and say we tie it up, we go into extras, and I'm still prepared for that 10th inning or whatever it may be. But if it's just always being able to just be mentally like ready for that situation.
If you're doing your routine and you get called and suddenly get a call, hey, come in the 8th instead, is that harder?
Well, I think you're not prepared, right? You don't, and there's an inconsistency of when it might be. So like I think that's the biggest thing is like when you have like no sort of consistency in there, which we don't even have consistency because you don't know how the game, like, you know what I mean? So it's like when you already know that you have a consistent spot that you're going to come into, you know that you're going to be ready for that, and you can do everything you can to just prepare for it the best way.
Your hair, when did that kind of be like your signature look,
Yeah, I honestly just started growing out in 2015. That was 2014 and before I had short hair. I used to cut it myself. Yeah, buzz cut, too, all the way around. I would just do it myself. It would be the easiest, didn't have to worry about paying someone to do it for me. So that was the easiest thing. And then I started growing my hair out and kind of stuck with me through then.
Is it high maintenance to you? And I know a lot of guys like that have had long hair in the clubhouse that, you have to have a good shampoo, a good condition. Like, are you hooked up? Do we have a good routine?
Maria hooks me up for sure. Yeah, she takes care of me. I mean, at one point early in my career, I had terrible hair. Like it was a mess. She kind of hooked it up a little bit, put me on a good path, and I still a little iffy. I'm not too good on it, but
it's healthy. You have a clothing line, right, which you're wearing?
Yes and no. It's a brand. So I have I call it the J Haterade brand, JH71. So I think for me, like, I kind of fell off on it a little bit, but for me it was just like giving the fans a little taste of what I like to do. My logo is J and then an H and a 7 and a 1 with an arrow.
I see it.
I like the bow hunt, and that's like one of the things. Just like people that enjoy watching me play and like want to support me in some way, like wear my gear. I feel like that's just like a little thing that's pretty cool that kind of keeps us connected. There's a lot of people when I go sign autographs, they're like, oh man, when just got this your shirt or whatever, and it's like, oh, that's really cool, like just to kind of have that connection with fans.
You hear your own voice in pitch comm still?
Yeah.
Do you hear? Okay, so you're the only one, I think, right, that hears your own voice? Maybe. Yeah, but for context, other pitchers hear Nola's voice probably still, or?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly whose voice it is, but I would assume it's probably one of those.
One of the catchers, probably. But why did you want to hear your voice? And do you have like sprinkled in there like encouraging phrases?
No.
I wanted you to say
No motivational speaking for me. I think the biggest thing for me is, like I said before, like going through that rough patch, I got into like the whole mental side of the game and really just kind of focus on, that was the next thing for me personally that I needed to do to take myself to the next level. I didn't think it was, there's the mental side of game that we don't really pay enough attention to, and Brian Kane really helped me through a lot going through that. So, one of the biggest things is like you keep telling yourself what you want to do. You're gonna pretty much do it because you tell your brain, your body's gonna follow, right? And that was one of the things. It's like you got to tell yourself like what you're trying to execute right there, and obviously having the pitch comm, that was one of the things. It's like if I can hear myself say fastball down and in or fastball up and away, whatever that may be. Now I tell myself one more time, and it's just like it's so built into my brain that that's the only thing I'm worried about. I'm not worried about a result. I'm not worried about what this hitter is going to do. I'm just going to worry about what I need to do, and that's executing that one pitch.
You're like the hardest kind of stretch you've gone through in terms of that type of, like just not being yourself on the mound, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably one of my worst. Maybe the last time that I got beat up that bad was sophomore year in high school. I think there's a learning point for it. There's reasons why baseball does that to guys, and I think that was my take where I had to, I had to figure out like what you had to do to get through that. Like you can either give up and just fold with it and just cry about it, or you just what I mean. Like you can pout about it and complain about it, but and have poor pity, but no one cares. No one. It's you gotta go through it if you want to be the best you can be, and that's just what I learned through that is just gotta get through it.
Do you paint? Do you do artwork?
Yeah, I do a little bit of drawing. Started that when I was younger and kind of just stayed with it a little bit.
Freehand drawing or like?
Used to. Now I do more on like the digital art on my iPad. Yeah. So I have a few. Yeah. So I have a few projects that I've done, and it's a lot of fun on the plane just to kind of do some downtime stuff.
Is it kind of also just for you like a stress reliever, kind of a little bit, or?
Yeah, I think it's just to get the creative side of my brain working. I think kind of what I've been trying to do. Just being in baseball for so long, you don't really have the opportunity to go to school or anything like that. So it's like, which way can I still do things like in a different way besides baseball to like get my brain working? Whether that's like, Maria and I have been doing this app called Elevate. It's like it does like reading, memory, math, like just all these different subjects, and it's like, it just kind of gets your brain working. I think it's just like, how can we continue to just grow and become better humans?
On the mound, I think you wear Jordan 1s, don't you? You're a Jordan guy? Or?
I really enjoy wearing the Jordan brand. I've had a few different. So we buy the shoe. We have a guy, Govern. He'll swap the sole out and put cleats on them. So I have Jordan 4s, 11s, 12s, 13s. I have one pair of 1s. So I think that was the cool thing. Is just like I get to. I like shoes, and I enjoy wearing different Jordans, and it's been really cool, and just especially being able to showcase like my style, I guess you could say.
No, it's good. I mean, people always like look at Blake or Manny or whatever, but you've got a good shoe game too.
Thank you.
Any other hobbies? I know you do the hunting.
Yeah.
Do photography too, or?
Used to do that. Fell off a little bit. That was like one of my biggest things. I like to golf. I like to fish. Last off season, I started getting into like tattooing fake skin. That was kind of cool.
What?
Yeah, so like there's I got a tattoo machine, and there's like you can buy like fake skin. So so you just tattoo it. It's like a piece of paper, but it's a little bit thicker. It's like actual like skin toughness.
Sounds so morbid until you realize it's like fake skin, I guess.
Yeah, so it's cool.
How are you at that?
I'm good enough for fake skin. I don't know about real skin.
No guys are quite letting you yet.
I wouldn't do it.
I mean, we've just learned, right? Photography, tattooing. You were an umpire at one point. What would you have done if you didn't play baseball?
So we had a vocational school in high school, and basically like we did a bunch of different trades, and one of the trades that I really fell in love with was precision machining. That was like a really fun thing to do. So basically you just build things out of metal, whether it's really anything, like your razor blade and your razor, like you have to use like different, just being precise with that stuff, using a lathe and a mill, and just creating things, like create a vise, created a mallet, like just different things out of metal.
There's a whole creative side to you that I didn't even know about. So I like this. We're gonna look for more of this now. Probably like on the Instagram, maybe in the off season, things like that. Some artwork, maybe. Okay.
Absolutely.
Josh, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.